Annette with Sun to Shine Astrology and Tarot, and this is my very first self-care Sunday, so welcome. Every week I'm going to put out a video to help you prepare for your week ahead. It'll be released on Sunday. Hopefully prior to that I could get to it because of the holiday this week, but basically the first part of the video, I will have timestamps listed below. The first part of the video is going to be about the astrology of the week and the energy of the week, the positive, both the positive and the negative. And then I'm going to have 3 piles you can choose from, whichever one you vibe with, that's the one you're going to pick. And those are going to be your oracle cards and your energy to work with. So let's talk a little bit about this week. So this week has cardinal energy very strong in it. And cardinal energy, because the 2 energies that are at play, that are big players in this energy, is Aries energy, which is our warrior, it's our self, it's our center, right? And then we have Cancer. And Cancer is a water-based energy. I forgot to say that Aries is fire. Cancer energy is water. The quality both of them have is that they're cardinal energies. And a cardinal energy, it initiates action. It delegates. That's why they're really good leaders. And also, it's a very, very important time, or so they like to think. Everything is important to cardinal energies. So let's talk a little bit about this energy. Hold on just a sec. I forgot to plug in my microphone. Hold on. Okay, much better. I just want you guys to be able to hear me just fine because I move my head around a lot. So anyhow, what's going on right now is Chiron, which is this planet, which is, well, it's not a fully formed planet, but it's not an asteroid either. It's kind of somewhere, something in between. And Chiron is, in astrology, the wounded healer. Like I said, it's an energy that hasn't fully formed. So it's our Achilles heel in life. And we spend our entire life learning how to make lemonade out of lemons in this part of our life. And right now, this transit is going to be in Aries, and it's going retrograde on the 11th. So a retrograde cycle is a regressive cycle. It's a time when you do a lot of reflecting, you remember a lot of things. Sometimes this is a time when usually the past comes back or you think about the past, or something from the past comes back. It's a time to return back to a past-based issue. It's also a time for you to relax, so that you can reflect a little bit better. And this is not a skill that Aries has. I mean, relaxing, maybe if they're having fun, but just if it's a complete, how do I say it? Relaxing for an Aries is once they've exhausted themselves and they've conquered the world and they're chilling. And then they are usually having a really good time, and then they're passing out. They're just full of stamina. They are ruled by Mars. Aries is ruled by Mars. So lots of stamina, lots of determination, lots of impatience. So when Aries goes into a retrograde, it can also go into its polarity. So it can fall into its negative energies. And so it is going to be conjunct the moon that's going to be in Aries. So here's the weird part. Very next day, so that's all happening on the 11th. On the 12th, we have Mercury. It's going to go direct because it's been in retrograde. So thank goodness. Mercury is a planet that rules. Here's Mercury. It's the planet that rules communication and our immediate environment, the things that we interact with on a daily basis, kind of the monkey mind part of us. And it is going to be going direct. And it's been in Cancer. And Cancer kind of weighs down Mercury, to be quite honest with you. It's not its best placement because it has to, your thinking has to be filtered through emotion. And as we know, if we're emotionally thinking, we do a lot of things that, I don't know, we tend to regret. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody who has a Mercury in Cancer, you know, has a terrible placement, but it's a challenge because, you know, you tend to tune into different things. You tend to be an emotional thinker. And, you know, that's where Mercury's been sitting. And that's why there's been such an emotional hot mess in the universe. I'm just going to shuffle these to use for our pick a card readings while we're talking. And so Chiron, which is in Aries, it's going to be squaring off with the Mercury in Cancer retrograde. So Chiron's first house, sense of self, right? And then Cancer is home and family, the home and family life. It could be your roots. It could be your familial bonds, that sort of stuff. So we have all of this self energy, you know, in a square with this Cancerian energy. So this is a lot of problems at home, maybe, because it's in a square. This is a lot of problems with communication around home or communication around family issues. Maybe things are threatening your family or you're perceiving it as a threat, you know, to your home and family, to being able to take care of your family. You feel like you've got to defend your family. You know, it's a very defensive time frame. And all this energy is building. Well, when Chiron goes into Aries and it goes retrograde on the 11th, then what you have is, I would think, a much more, honestly, whatever comes to a head is going to happen, because it's a much more defensive energy. So we definitely want to be mindful of the fact that we're just going to be more combative. We're going to be a little bit more impatient. We're going to be, some people could be petulant, could act like children, basically. And you could just be wondering, what the heck is going on in the world? Like, and I say that because your sun in Cancer, and this is the general energies, guys, it's going to be in opposition with Capricorn energy. And Capricorn energy is the government, is rules, regulations, laws that govern us. It is authority figures, bosses, work is a big one. So the sun in Cancer, it's going to be opposing all of this energy. Now, an opposition is a lot better to deal with than a square. So I think that we can work with an opposition. I feel like when Cancer energy gets into an opposition, that's enough of a shove for Cancers to want to then go into their cardinal mode, initiate, and engage, right? Because if you push a Cancer energy, your sun in Cancer, if it goes into a square, then it becomes this emotional topsy-turvy mess where there could be instability, and it could just be a bunch of crazy stuff. It could be a lot of emotional outbursts, emotionally confrontational situations. So we want to stay out of all that energy. So you're saying, okay, Annette, how can we stay away from energy like that? How can we make this a good week? Well, you can ground yourself, because Mercury in Cancer, which goes direct the next day, is going to be in this beautiful sextile with Uranus and Taurus. And so what you want to do is to just simplify everything, make sure that you stay grounded, minimize information. I would think it would be another one. Try to, like, if there are issues with your family, take a time out, think it through, and then go back to it. Because if your impulse is going to be confrontational, so we want to stay away from that and have some impulse control right now, because you're going to need it, dude. You're going to need it. So then the very next energy that I could say that you could tune into and you could get this high vibe, you can ride that wave, is Venus is in Gemini, and it's in your 3rd house. And that's mutable energy. So Aries energy can fixate on something, and it just has a really hard time letting it go. So to be in the best energy, which is beautiful sextiles, and to really harness all this Aries energy and to get the most productivity out of it, be mutable, be flexible. Understand that there are 2 sides to the story. Communication, you must listen as much as you talk, which is super difficult for an Aries energy, but you must. And if you're getting emotional, then that's time to take a time out and then revisit the emotional situation, because the one good thing about Aries energy is once it blurts everything out, it's usually over it. However, the person on the other side may not be able to handle that level of blunt and truth-telling that goes on when an Aries tend to blurt. So that is the energy I would think you guys just need to be mindful of. So just remember, as we move through this week, guys, please, please, please just take a time out if you're feeling the brewing happening. All Aries have a brewing. It's a short fuse, granted, but it's a brewing nevertheless. And so when you feel like you're just going to pop, you just need to get away from somebody, because you are going to say something that you do regret. You're going to do something that you will regret. So just don't just, I don't care if you got to excuse yourself, just because you give yourself give yourself like 10, 15 minutes. You're gonna see things a little bit different. Or if you need to give yourself some more time because it's just too emotional, because you're way too tuned into, the negative aspects of this energy, then maybe something from the past comes up. It triggers you. Maybe something, maybe you're accused of doing something in your past that it makes you angry. Just note that you need to remove yourself from the situation, think it through, and you will make the right decision, because, in the end, this warrior-based energy, it does prevail. I mean, all Aries prevail in the end. I would say that love is in the air for some of you guys that are open to seeking it out. It could be very chemically charged and an immediate attraction for some of you. There could be, this could have to do with the fact that, you might just talk to somebody and just be immediately drawn to them, or they might be drawn to you listening to you talk. That's one thing that can happen. Socializing is great in the fun way. Like, go have some fun, and it'll immediately raise your vibe. Feed yourself super positive information that's going to keep you in the sextile. Anyhow, guys, oh, I do want to mention before I go that when we have Mercury in Cancer, it's going to go direct, right? And when it goes direct, this means that the next day on the 12th, it means that you're ready to confront those things that you might have been, it might have been brewing. So just be mindful of that. We will also be on the 12th in the last quarter of the moon, which is going to be in Aries. I am encouraged by the fact that the moon in its last quarter, the energy is a little bit lower and you're much more forgiving in that last quarter of the moon. The last quarter of the moon helps you find resolutions. It helps you find a new direction. If something goes wrong, it can shift your thinking, which is really, really nice. Be mindful of the fact that when we're in, like by the 12th, we're at the halfway point between the full moon and the new moon. This is a square. It is a square in your moon. And so I know that I have an Aries moon, so I'm just going to tell you, beware. If you get fired up, just, oh, so please go somewhere and think about it. Just think it through for 5 minutes. You might change your mind. Because you may just want somebody to hear your point of view so badly that you could just be argumentative, aggressive, overpowering, obnoxious. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much. And I'm going to be right back and you guys can pick your pile and we can discuss things further. Thanks so much. Hi, guys. You picked pile number 1. I think the first thing we want to do is just talk a little bit about strength. So you were drawn to the strength card. I'm going to put this right here, which is gorgeous, by the way. So this is the Ancestral Path Tarot. I just got it because I thought it was the most beautiful artwork I'd ever seen in my whole life. And so the Strength card is Leo energy, and it has to do with the ability to have a lot of endurance. It's a fire-based energy. So it really, if you guys picked this particular pile, then you're really going to be in tune with the Aries energy that is going to be in this week, okay? And so you might find yourself a little bit more in a state of reflection. You know, you might remember some things. It could be triggering, just to let you know. Chiron in Aries has to do with areas inside of yourself where you have had to find the strength. And it's something that still needs to be strengthened. And so you are going to find that during this cycle of Chiron and Aries, which is in retrograde, you are going to find that there is something about you that you're not as secure about it. It's something about your sense of self, okay? And it's something that, I'm gonna do some astrology a little bit here. See what planets are in play for you. This is in your mind. I just want to tell you, as I'm looking at the energies for this week, all of this is in your mind. It's a matter of perception. Now understand, Aries is your sense of self, but it's that perception, their perception of others. So people may not understand you this week, or they may misunderstand you. Excuse me. And it may be something like a misconception or a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, you know, and it may challenge you to have the strength to change that perception. And this could be a triggering perception because you could have been defined this way once before, and it could be difficult for you to be bound to that definition of your sense of self. it could have been something from your past where it was your old sense of self that you've shed, but you're still being defined at it, or it triggered that response into you to kind of make you regress back into that, the ways that you used to be. That could be possible. It's all about building strength and endurance and overcoming that part of your life, that Achilles heel that you have. And so I'm just gonna, I pick everything in threes. And so we're just gonna do this. Okay. Okay, guys, so let's take a look at your week. This is the beginning of the week, midweek, and end of week. All right. All in reverse, which I find pretty interesting. As I say, are these all? No, they're not. I was like, whoa, how can they all be in reverse? All right, they're all in reverse. So we got Capricorn energy, the sun in Capricorn, and we got the Four of Coins, or the Four of Pentacles. I'll show that up to you, sorry. And then we got the Knight of Cups, which is this water energy, which is probably our Cancer energy we're dealing with. Capricorn energy, I told you that we have this opposition right now this week, going to be Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are all going to be in Capricorn, and they're all going to be opposing, not to mention your sun is in Cancer. The opposition of Cancer is Capricorn energy, which is that. And then we have the Five of Coins, and we have Mercury in Taurus. So your Taurus energy, Uranus is in Taurus right now. And we talked about Mercury. Mercury is going to be going direct. So this is very interesting energy. Let's take a little bit of the Light Seer deck. Okay. So Four of Pentacles coins in Capricorn could mean that you are worrying about money, or you were worrying about job security, or making enough money, or possibly not having, like, it's not having enough money. It's like you feel like very nervous about money, or very nervous about your security, your financial security. A Knight of Cups in reverse can mean that you are just super emotional. And we talked about that. There's some opposition in your sun in Cancer this week. And so, yeah, that's going to make you a lot more emotionally driven, emotionally activated. We talked about that with your Strength card. And then we have your Five of Coins, which is your Five of Pentacles. So money is definitely a concern. I mean, you've got a 4 and a 5. Those are both very challenging energies. So you're very worried that you don't have enough money, or that you may hear something about, well, if Mercury's involved, you may hear something about, it could be with Capricorn. So if you have, like, let's say Mercury in Capricorn, when you've got all this money issues, it could be something about the economy. It could be something about, you know, something having to do with politics impacting your money. That's possible in this energy. Now let's take a look and see what the Light Seer has to say. Let's raise the vibe. My Light Seer deck always is, I just use it. Oh, you got another Five of Pentacles. So yes, you're definitely worried about money, or a loss, or there was a loss and you're just worried about it. Maybe you're worried about the cycle happening again. This could have to do with the wave of, sorry, I'm doing this at like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I just couldn't sleep. You could be worried about, well, we did have another in the United States anyway, we had another wave start to happen, and it could mean that you're just really worried about the state of the economy and this cycle happening all over again. It is frustrating when you get on the wheel because it's that continuous cycle of up and down. Ace of Cups is good. I like seeing the Ace of Cups next to your Knight of Cups in reverse. That just means that you kind of have to look at this a little bit more simplistically. A direction you thought you were going in, it may be the wrong direction, or you may be too bold and too, like, I think of somebody who's like, if it's a Knight of Cups, you know, they're charging into it, but emotionally, and that's no kind of way to be, because we want some logic in there. So it's time to simplify it, pull it back to the Ace of Cups, and let's pull this emotion down in its most simplistic form. So take a time out, really think about where all of this emotion is stemming from, and then raise that vibration. And then you get to be your Queen of Swords. I'm very happy to see that. So I think the beginning of the week, you're just worried. You're worried, and by the time we hit the midweek, there's something that does come up to kind of test your emotional capacity to process what's going on. But you can't, but I do see that you do tune into this Queen of Swords. When I see the Queen of Swords, she is such a good omen for me. To me, when I get her, I know that she's asking me to use my rational, logical mind and to stop engaging so much emotionally. My cards are I use them as almost like archetypes. And so when I see her, she is saying, in the feminine mind, in the feminine part of you, the emotional part of you, don't be emotional. Be almost intuitive and instinctual, but be rational and logical is what she's asking you to tune into. Gosh, you have another 5. 5 of Coins, 5 of Swords. You have a 5 of Pentacles over here, which is 5 of Coins. So you're really, really, you know what this feels like? I'm just feeling this so strongly. It feels like at one point, you know, you thought we were moving past everything and it was getting better, and then it seems like we're just going back around and doing it again. And it could just be super frustrating and kind of mentally overwhelming. That's what I'm feeling. I love that we get the Fool card. The Fool card is one of the best cards because at some point you've just got to understand this is all foolishness. It really is. It's foolish behavior. It's foolishness. You know, if you just pull this back and you simplify everything, you can tune into the high vibration in this card. You know what? I mean, you're just going to have to let things happen, and you're going to have to just concentrate on just being happy yourself. Even if it's foolish thinking, even if it doesn't make sense to think that way, you've got to stay in the high vibe of this because it's such a hard energy if you let it take you down the road of ego, because this can be such a stinking monster. I mean, a Strength card can be overpowering and overbearing, and when it's insecure, and it can be very monstrative. So it's like you don't want to be cultivating that. Ooh, we have the Tarantula. This is intuitive energy. When I think of, so that's your spirit animal. I'm going to read your spirit animal because I'm a freak about spirit animals. I mean, an absolute freak. Let me get to it. Fire. I'm personally not a fan of freaking spiders, but okay, tarantula. You're at a crossroad claiming life's purpose. The tarantula represents a moment when a great decision must be made. It involves prioritizing your life's deeper purposes. A habit or a routine from the past is sidetracking you from your dream. Yet a voice inside you keeps begging you to refocus your attention. In order to find true happiness, you must choose Dharma. Until you do, satisfaction will be fleeting. The tarantula hovers, patient and calm, like an old friend that knows your inner soul. It already knows you'll choose wisely. Oh, that's good to see. Not a big fan of the tarantula. I do say that one of the things that I love about spiders in general, or arachnids, is that they are very, very intuitive. I mean, and they're very, very resourceful. And so I really think that in this energy in particular, one of the things that I tuned into was the fact that this is a time when you will see what you're made of. You really will. Okay, so we have, for oracle cards, we have the magical map shifter. And I look at this and I see this. Guys, look. It's the wheel again. It's the ability to understand that what goes down must come up, or what goes up must come down. It's the understanding of that. And it's the understanding of the cycles of that. And if you can understand that no matter what happens, you know, it must go up, right? Then I think that we can have some peace and calm in our minds when it comes to this kind of chaotic time right now. Emotions are going to run high in the world. And there's going to be an opposition that will go down for sure. Discover the truth. You will stand in the light of the truth. This is, I think, of the tarantula too. I do think that the truth is going to come out. I think it will be a difficult truth for many. This has a lot to do with ego. And so people are going to be very, very caught up in their egos. And you just have to be mindful that, you know, you're not getting so, I think of Mercury. You're not getting so distracted by your environment, all the media and all of the stuff on your computer and on your screen and in your ear and spinning up your monkey mind. Be very mindful that you control the energy that goes into your monkey mind. The Arrow Master. Hitting the mark, intention, and detachment. Wow, well, we got detachment. You know, it's the ability to focus, to think logical, to think rational. You will have a predisposition this week for your mind to want to take action immediately, to be impulsive with your actions. Think it through and focus and understand that you don't emotionally engage. Think it through and use your logical mind before you act. I think that that's strength. That takes inner strength and self-control. And that is very benefic, is to be in a state of self-control, because then you could be mutable and you could think, okay, well, I'm just going to take a minute, man. I got to get, this is what I have to do it all the time. When I get mad, I'm like, I just got to take a minute. I go for a walk. I'm calm. So you just give yourself that time this week. Okay, we have self-esteem. I process the gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. Well, self-esteem has a lot. Oh, excuse me. I possess the gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. That reminds me of the strength card. So, and self-esteem is self-control. I mean, you don't have to react to everything. If somebody says something about you, or if somebody does something about that has to do where that you don't agree with it or you don't identify with it, honestly, self-esteem is being okay with somebody just not thinking like you. What does it matter? I mean, you know who you are. You know what you're made of. I mean, you understand that this has been a long journey. You don't need to prove that to anybody. Okay, let's talk about the tea for the week, okay? This is the tea. You have the rose. Romance is in the air. So I told you that, well, if you listen to the first part, Venus, which is the planet that rules love and relationships, bonds, and unions, is in Gemini, and it is in a gorgeous mood. This is a great week to flirt your little tail off. We have mice. Discord among friends and family. Absolutely. Family is going to be a hot mess. Cancer rules home and family. So things are going to come up at home. Things are going to come up in family situations, familial situations. Stuff from the past could be regurgitated in this energy. Just be mindful, because we're going to go direct. And so there's always this build up before it actually, we take action. And then we have the tortoise, slowly but surely getting ahead. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, if it's one thing that I could just please ask you guys is to remove yourself, like I've said 10 times now, and just slowly but surely allow yourself to process this energy in a way that is, you have a lot of worries. Your mind has a lot of weight about what you've lost. And you have a lot of, you're very nervous maybe about money or some financial impact, or your future, or your stability, that you have a lot on your mind. So this is going to be a time when you're going to have to just have faith in yourself, and have faith, and just know that everything is going to be okay. You know, and just have some self-control, and just know that we are in a time where everything is changing. We have to be mutable, and that can keep us in the sextiles and the high vibe. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm going to be right back with pile number 2. Hi, guys. This is Annette. Thank you for choosing pile number 2. Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about the High Priestess in your reading today. I'm going to put this, I guess, right here. Okay. So the High Priestess, she is somebody who is incredibly intuitive. She relies completely, actually, on her instincts, which I find really interesting, because we have the Sun in Cancer in this, and that is a very receptive energy, a very perceptive energy, very much in tuned with the feeling side of things. The High Priestess is an entity that basically connects to the moon. And she is very divine. She actually, anything she does revolves on this next level type of thinking. So this is not an impulsive person. This is a person that goes, that is just basically a person who just thrives on instinct. I mean, she's a woman that will make a decision, but she trusts her gut implicitly, like just. She's so pretty. I love the Ancestral Path Tarot, like with all my heart and soul. She's definitely not somebody who would be tuning in to the Aries side of all this energy, you know, where it's all ego-driven and it's self-focused. The High Priestess is not tuned into that energy. The High Priestess is tuned into, I just got to make sure. Sorry, I just had to make sure that the camera was still going. The High Priestess is somebody who checks their ego at the door. I mean, doesn't even align with ego, aligns solely with the divine. So let's see what your week is going to look like. Okay. Okay, so we have the Eight of Cups, that's Saturn and Pisces. Jeez. We got the Nine of Swords, Mars and Gemini. Okay. we have Venus in Aquarius. That would be the Five of Swords. So let me just take a look at this. Saturn. Saturn is in Capricorn right now. And Saturn and Pisces would be 12th house. So it'd be something cumulative, which actually Pisces is in a trine right now with the Sun in Cancer. And this is Cups. So let's talk about all that. The Eight of Cups is, if you look at this card straight up, like upright, the Eight of Cups is being divinely guided to walk away from something that no longer serves you. And you are walking intuitively toward your future. You've learned your karmic lesson or you've learned your lesson in this, and it's time. You know that it's time to leave this situation behind that was emotionally charged. So if you are in the reverse part of that, and you're in this Pisces energy, then you are, I feel like it's really tugging on, like intuitively there might be something that comes up during this week, because this is the beginning, mid, and then end of week. I feel like something comes up for you guys that is emotionally charged, and we talked about that. There's a lot of energy right now that's emotionally charged. We do have the last quarter of the moon coming on the 12th, the very end of the week. That is the halfway point between the full moon and the new moon. So this is a square, so it's tension. So it could mean that your energy is off and that you're just intuitively tuned into the fact that energy is just off. It's just, you're not vibing with it. And you can feel something in the air that has a tendency to intensify anxiety. Because if you're looking at this from like an ethereal level or from a spiritual level or however you want to define it, you're looking at this as a whole. And so you're looking at, because I'm thinking of the Chiron aspect. You're seeing all the hurt and the pain that's associated with all this. And you're seeing that there's just a lack of compassion, which is frustrating. And it can feel emotionally draining to be tuned into all that energy. So I would say that if you chose this pile, that you're probably on the empathic side of everything, where you tend to tune into people's feelings and you're very in tune with your environment, and the fluctuations in your environment and stuff can really mess with your mind. I think of this Mercury, because Mercury is in Cancer. It's going to go direct on the 12th, the day after Chiron in Aries goes retrograde, which is on the 11th. So there's a buildup this week. Intuitively, you can feel it. So in the beginning of the week, you definitely know it's coming. Midweek, you know, and by the time the end of the week comes, I think you're more vibing with the energy that is more the Aryan side of the energy. So, a Nine of Swords. There's this, you're feeling very, very heavy. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I'm feeling you guys, you're feeling very heavy. There's a lot on your mind. There's a lot of stuff that you are hearing, information that's difficult to retain. This could have something to do with your home and family. Your familial bonds. This could just be the past nagging at you in your head, in your mind. It could be thoughts of, it could be things that you're remorseful about or that you regret coming up right now and impacting you kind of just on this really deeply personal level. Memories of the past, things that you wish you would have done different. It's definitely emotionally charged. It's difficult to leave. This is a Saturn experience for you. So this is just something, maybe there was something that you just regret, and intuitively you're just really, really emotional about this situation. Very triggering. It feels very triggered. Vibes are coming up heavy today. I mean, in this week, it's in the first pile and the second pile. Let's take a look and see what my lights here. So 6 of Swords, this is movement, and this is the 8 of Cups. It's movement too. It's the walking away. I think it's difficult to walk away. I think there's a hesitation to walk away, a hesitation to move forward. Oh, I love the King. When he comes up, he is somebody that says, he is my daddy. Everything, he just makes me feel safe and secure and calms. So Uranus is in Taurus, and every time I see this card, I think of Taurus, just because he's the Pentacle too. But Uranus and Taurus is in this beautiful sextile. So there is 2 ways to look at this energy, because we do have Venus in Gemini. So it could be something where intuitively, you're being guided to, like, move on. It's, that it's time, difficult as it is. It's, it's time to move forward with your thinking, or forward with your life, to something much more stable, something that it's a rational, logical choice to do. It's not the emotional side of it, but it's definitely like something that makes sense to move forward with. It's something that has to do with increasing your stability and your financial security. And intuitively, she is so telling you that just to pay attention to your intuition, no matter what your monkey mind says, no matter what your monkey mind will entice you and pull you back into, don't let it. Okay. Oh, we have the King of Cups. Very watery energy, guys, in this pile. Lots of water. Fives again. So fives are a time of challenge. It's a time of moving forward, of releasing something and moving on. It's the next step after you paused for a minute, kind of thought things through. Then it's the next step. It's the tough part. It's the engaging after something. This is my inner child card. Yeah, there's a feeling in this that there is okay, first of all, I cannot even believe how much I feel so deeply that this is such an empathic pile. This is all about vibrations. So this is a time when you guys have to be super mindful of your emotional well-being, because you have your inner child sneaking into your thoughts. When I see this card, it's just always my inner child, and with fives, it could be regret and some remorse. It could be some triggering. I love that we have the Ace of Swords. That's new information. That's moving forward, a new way of thinking this through. So on the 12th, so Mercury goes direct on the 12th, and it's in this beautiful sextile with Uranus and Taurus, which is why you get this guy right here. Okay, this very calm, soothing, fatherly, masculine, nurturing, loving, confident person, right? That's such a beautiful, soothing energy. when we're in the emotions, we tend to be much more in tune with the feminine side. So, and even a Taurus, they're very in tune with all five of their senses, or all of their senses. So it is very, very, very intense to have these thoughts in your head right now. So thoughts that get triggered when Chiron goes into retrograde is losses, things we regret, emotional situations we wish we could change, those types of thoughts. And they're very, I don't know, you can't change the past. A lot of people they'll try to go back and they'll try to rekindle old relationships, but I definitely don't see that being a solution right now, because you're being told by Saturn to move forward. But there could be some resistance this week for you to want to do that. And it probably has something to do with ego. Probably, is a loss. I would just be very mindful of the way that your mind is going to play tricks on you, and the information that it feeds you may not be the exact right information. I would go, please just feel your way out of this before you take actions, because you can get caught up in all this impulsive energy that makes you feel like it's got to be handled right now, and you're just reacting on an emotional level. And that's definitely the wrong thing to do, because on the 12th, we have this last quarter moon in Aries, right? It's in your sense of self and your identity. And so these are things that are very core based, that define you. So to stay out of ego, you are at the halfway point between the full moon and the new moon. So this is a tense situation. It's a lot of tension. So intuitively think it through. Does it feel like you should be acting that way? The octopus, dear Lord, have I got the octopus like all last week? The octopus is a couple things. The octopus is got its tendrils into everything. It's the busybody. It's the one that's always got to be the nosy, got to just, there's a tendril in this and a tendril in that. I think of this Mercury. I think of just the monkey mind, just being too, like too in tune, maybe too much multimedia, too much information. I think of these two cards, too much information, and I feel like you need to be tuned into your intuition more than the rhetoric. You can intelligently think your way out of this, but I feel like this would make you much more like a monkey mind. I mean, just understand that you can have both. Like, you can use your mind in the physical realm, but use your gut and your instincts and everything else, especially in home and family situations, or in anything that has to do with impacting your home and family. Okay, we have scissors, disappointment in some affair. Okay. Yikes. We have vase, secret admirer. Ooh, I like that. Love is in the air, guys. Gemini Venus is in Gemini. Third, that's the house of communication. It's in your third house, and Mercury is its ruler, so it's in a great place. It's going direct, thank goodness. And it is going to be really, really vibing in the energy. If you guys can just be flexible, not rigid, don't get caught up in your thinking and get rigid in your thinking and hold on to an idea and get fixated on it. That would be the absolute wrong thing to do in this. And just remember that, this could be literally home and family stuff. It could be having something to do. It could definitely have something to do with the past, because this can be a past card. This can also have to do with inner child work. Yeah. Okay. New. Okay. Ooh, younger woman. Dealings or a relationship with a younger woman. Nice. Nice. Okay. And a relationship doesn't have to mean a sexual relationship or a relationship. It could be in any relationship, any kind of relationship, partnership, bond, or union. Okay, we have Wizards of Awareness. I do think of her. Actually, I kind of think of both of these, but I do think of the High Priestess when I think of Wizard of Awareness. Your mind is a place that you do have the capacity to yield and control. And you have to use your mind to its advantages. You have to use its strengths and recognize its weaknesses and instinctually go off of what you feel to pull yourself out of this negative monkey mind stuff that you're doing. Okay, choosing your path, all is possible. It's beautiful energy. It really is. Understand that when we have this Chiron and Aries, which goes retrograde, it's a time to rehash things. It's time to think things through. If you have regrets, it's a time to go back and correct it. It's a time to, maybe go back and revisit it and see if it's something that you should take a look at once again. It's a time to rekindle stuff, for sure. Understand that as we move forward, because this is just going to help you out with your sense of self. It's going to help you release things that are emotional, and it's going to help you move on with this situation, especially if this has something to do with your childhood, or because, the fourth house is home and family. Worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. I think of this as worrying. Midweek. Just worrying, just thoughts and remorse and regretful thoughts and rehashing things in your mind. Don't worry about things. All this loss, all this, when you have these 2 5s here, sometimes what's done is done. There's nothing you can do. Worrying about it isn't going to change anything. That's what I always tell myself. I'm like, is worrying going to help this situation? Because if it isn't, stop doing it. The Desert Prince, survival and false promises. I think of this Aries energy when I see this. Okay, guys. When I think of false promises, I think about the way that we can just we can take a look at our situation. We can judge it immediately as if it's fact, right? As if we know the full story when we don't. And we react immediately. That's what I think about when I think about something like this. It's like you have to be very mindful that you're in a higher place than that. That you're in a place that, you don't want to do something that you're going to disappoint yourself or have regrets over. Self-sabotage. Yeah, that's pretty intense. Self-sabotage is one of those things that I think that we can do when we get into this type of mind. When you start thinking like that. That can happen, honestly, when you have Chiron going into Aries. You can start to regress and you can start to go into old patterns of thinking, and you can, get triggered with childhood stuff. And then you can start to sabotage yourself again. These are cycles. I think of Saturn here, just cycles, You want to stop doing that. And then we have big, bold vision. I love that they have the bee. This is such a beautiful card. I think of the High Priestess and this big, bold vision. You have to understand that you're in a time of metamorphosis. You are changing so much on a very deeply personal level. And there's there's stuff that you can't possibly see right now. It's so big. It's so much bigger than we can possibly understand. And we just need to, the thing that I just like to tell people is just be very mindful not to react to everything right now, that this is a time that the monkey mind can get away from you. And what you need to do is pull yourself away, take a time out, think it through, because you're wanting to react, that need to react to things, that impulse changes just as fast if you just give yourself a time out and think, okay, well, do I really want to do this? Because if you do instinctually, that's when you're going to start to tune into the high priestess's energy, and she's going to guide you into a thinking on a much bigger scale, and she's going to tune into your gut. And is this a really good idea? Well, your gut will tell you yes or no instead of you reacting. Anyhow, guys, thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Hi guys, this is Annette with Sun to Shine Astrology. Thanks for picking pile 3. Okay, so you picked the Emperor. The Emperor is Aries. So you're definitely in tune to the Aries energy this week. And the Aries energy this week is Chiron in Aries is going to go into retrograde. And there are some pretty intense squares going on the 11th and the 12th, pretty much this whole week, regarding Mars, which rules Aries. And this moon that we're going to be having, because we have the last quarter of the moon, is going to happen on the 12th, and it is the halfway point between the full moon and the new moon, so that's a tense situation. So you have the Aries mind to deal with, which is quite the mind, to be honest with you. So let's take a look and see what... So this is a masculine-driven energy. This is the sense of self. This is the foundation, the things that you build in order to, leave a legacy, to feel secure with. That's kind of the energy that you're dealing with. So when you're tuning into all of this Aries energy, that means you're fire-based. And that also means that you like to initiate and delegate and to sometimes control a situation. It's a beautiful Aries card. Emperor card. Okay, let's take a look and see. We have the 3 of Cups. Oh, Cancer. In reverse, of course, because, and let me tell you, there's nothing about Cancer energy that the Emperor card would really like. The Emperor would really like. You've got the King of Wands in reverse. This is your square that's happening in all this Aries energy. And then you have the Ace of Swords in reverse. So that's an air sign. Okay. So we have the 3 of Cups. Usually the 3 of Cups is a difficult and an emotional situation. We have Mercury here, and Mercury right now is in Cancer. It's going to go direct on the 12th. Chiron in Aries is going to... Chiron in Aries is going to go retrograde on the, something in my eye, on the 11th. So this energy is pretty intense. The Emperor doesn't like to be weighed down by feeling, right? They're fire-based, so they like to just be charged up and always defeating something, tackling something, working towards something, movement, kind of like, being in control of something, being empowered by it, and, this kind of like pulling down emotionally is kind of like a drag for the Emperor. I'm not gonna lie. not the emperor's most favorite place to be in, to have this emotional situation to deal with, or this emotional energy to be processing. Now, mind you, this also could have to do with the fact that the emperor could just be much more emotional right now, because there could be some regret, some remorse, remembering, some reflection that's going to start to go on and make this emperor just a little bit more doubtful of himself than he really truly likes to be, which could be, you know, why this King of Wands, all this fire energy, is in reverse. It flat goes into a square with all this Cancer energy, you know? I mean, being weighed down by emotion, that makes you just slow to respond. It makes you, I don't know, just not feel as in control, maybe not feel as superior, because your emotion, you're being impacted, and it, you know, there is a pause that's necessary in this type of energy. It can't make you feel, because, you know, we've got Chiron, you know, and Chiron is the wound that we all have. It's that place in all of us where there's some self-doubt. And so this emperor is probably feeling a little bit of self-doubt or a little bit insecure, and not vibing with that. And that can make this Ace of Swords, there could be some information that the emperor doesn't like hearing, or doesn't want to face, or isn't in control of the information that is coming out. Just very off-putting, maybe. Learning something and then becoming emotional about it. Mercury in Cancer, which is going to go direct. There could be a home and family situation that comes up as well. Okay, let's take a look at the Light Seers deck and see why every one of these are in reverse. I really feel like it's the square that's happening right in this week. There's a big square in this week, and then there's a square in the last quarter moon in Aries. And just let me tell you, when I have a moon in Aries, and so when you get emotionally fired up, because this is in reverse. When you get when Aries energy gets emotionally fired up, and it's sensitive, it gets really combative and really confrontational, and, you know, there's just a lot of energy. It's a square, so it's resistance, it's an obstacle, it's a roadblock, which, you know, the emperor doesn't want to ever hear no, or I can't, or any of those things. Like, that's not his vibe. The masculine energies vibe, anyway. So we've got a Knight of Swords. God dang, this Five of Cups is haunting me in this week. So this is the beginning of the week, midweek, end of week. Okay. All right. More inner child stuff. Okay. All right. So this to me just shows that I see somebody just leaving, picking up and leaving. I see somebody not being able to handle something. Based on all of this, I see it just pushing somebody. The need to be alone, the need to get away. Not feeling like putting yourself out there, being engaging. Not liking the feeling of being vulnerable. This reflective status is probably pretty hard on the people who pick this pile, because you can have just those flashes of remorse or regret, or, you know, just a time when you used to have some insecurities. This is my inner child card, so when I see it, sometimes I think of maybe when you were a child. And the Ten of Swords is the walking away. I see movement away from. Her back is to. Maybe not getting enough attention. Not getting the type of attention you want. Could have been, for some of you, there was somebody who walked away, and there's some memories of that coming up. This one, an Eight of Pentacles, is mastering your craft. So it's just like, we have the Three of Pentacles. So you're working pretty hard. It's something that some of you may be, this reminds me of a home business. That reminds me of somebody who is doing something that's very heart-based, and they kind of do it independently of a corporation. I see that to you. Could be stressful as far as, I don't know, with some money. Or just feeling like you're having to work really hard to get things going again. Energy just could be low too. I mean, the energy could just be really, really low, because when I think of the last quarter of the moon, I do think that the moon, when it's in its last quarter, it's at a lower energy level. So it could just mean that some of you just don't have the high octane determination and energy and that you normally do. And you know, you need to get to work, and you need to keep going. And there could just be, for some of you, there just could be a lack of like heart-based passion. I mean, the mind, the body, and the spirit are all kind of challenged right now this week. So let's see what else is going on right now. We have the Phoenix. I think that something has to end, something has to die for something else to be reborn, for you to come up out of the ashes. And so I think of these types of things when I think of, you know, walking away, processing something, letting it go. Definitely not the Emperor's style. This is a very commanding presence. And, you know, it has to do with longevity. It has to do with building a future, a secure outcome. I'm feeling business here. I'm feeling like business. Like maybe something comes up to where you kind of have to shift your gears, but maybe your energy levels is low this week. Dog far away, a distant friend is thinking of you. Well, people from your past can come up in this energy for sure. A 4-leaf clover, great and good fortune. Well, I would say that. I would say that you're definitely working on something that's positive. This is a great time to, if you can do something that is very heart-based and is very, that actually you, maybe it's something that you used to like when you were young. It used to get you really excited about life, used to really tune you in. I can see that. Starting something new. It's a hesitation, but dog close up, pleasure with a close friend. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you right now. So positive vibe for this week for you guys, because you've got this Phoenix here, is you've got, you guys, something could come back from your past. It's, you know, like a significant relationship or a bond could come back from the past. Maybe somebody you used to work with. Could come back, and there could be a rekindling for some of you of like an old connection. Think of this 3-cup situation. So maybe it's, you know, something new arising from you know, a loss that you had once had, thinking that you didn't have any hope in that arena anymore, and something this week could be very positive. A gentle gardener. Oh, I just think of this as, you know, it's hard because I see him as being so forceful and so driven and so controlling and so powerful. And I just think of, you know, in the fields and having to, like, you know, move forward. And I think of friends, and I just think it's this aspect to this. I think it's feeling a little bit like a fish out of water. So one of the things I could see is Chiron in Aries, which is in your first house, in the square with Mercury in Cancer. It could mean that you're just you're not used to having this much emotion, feeling this much, and it's just making you feel a little bit on the more gentler side, and maybe making you feel a little bit more emotional. That's kind of not your vibe, or it could be difficult for it to be your vibe in this type of energy. It's also just, it could also just be a thinking about, you could be being triggered of times when you weren't as secure. And, you know, you could be going through many thoughts of that, you know. Embracing enthusiasm. Shout to the heavens with happiness. You know, this reading is really positive. Okay, so if you want to bring the vibe up this week, because this is an intense week for you. First of all, work looks like a great place to, like, raise your vibe, make you feel like superior, like an emperor, victorious, like you're working on your stability, you're turning your life around, you're reviving your life, you know, after some tough times that have been pretty intense. One of the best things that you could tune into is Venus in Gemini, which is in a sextile with Chiron, a sextile with this moon that we're having this last quarter of a moon. It could be forgiving. It could be a shift in thinking positively. And this square, you could use it to literally pull yourself up out of the ashes and just start moving forward, you know, not thinking like that things are so overwhelming mentally, mind, body, and spirit wise. Trust. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. Absolutely. This is beautiful energy. You know, when you have Mercury in Cancer, you are very in tune with your intuition. And I know that this is usually much more of a logical thinker, rational thinker, connected to the superficial material realm. However, this is everything to do with connecting on a much more elevated level, looking at it from way bigger picture, and building trust in yourself again. Maybe some of you, it's about building trust in yourself and about embracing the enthusiasm about life again. Maybe you're scared a little bit to be hopeful because of all the information that's always coming into our minds. Sacred union, partnership, and romance. So for some of you, this looks like in this pile, it's very, very beautiful in regards to love. So I think there might have been something from the past or a heartbreaking relationship that may have defined you improperly, or you may have defined yourself improperly by this failure of this relationship. But gosh, there is love in the air. If you really want to just take advantage of this, there's some great energy out there to go flirt and just be, go up to somebody, be confident enough to, and to maybe make a connection. That's definitely in the air this week for everybody. And letting go. You have to let go, you know? You can't hold on to these types of feelings. You know, if there's some stuff in your childhood, you have to just work on letting all of this stuff go. It's rhetoric, you know? It's stuff that, we can't bring into moving forward. Such a beautiful card. Okay. And then finally, follow your rhythm. So beautiful.
I think of dancing. I think going out. I think of just, oh, I feel like a vibe of like going out, going to a bar, just doing something fun and just being noticed. I think because you're just like into yourself and into your thing and just, I don't know, like rekindling something, like starting anew. This if you pick pile 3, this feels very love oriented. It feels very relationshipy. But it also could just be a really strong sense of identity. Although this partnership here, it really feels like for some of you guys this week you could meet somebody, but for some of you this really could just be a time where you're re-identifying and you are starting to learn how to love yourself again. And I think when you start to move through that energy, that's when you start to bring this type of energy, this type of attraction into your life. Okay, guys, thanks so much.